And we're live with the Happy Foolish Fun Hour.
Last one.
Last one. Are we renaming it?
Why not?
Okay.
Call something different every day. It's just a live show.
The Fun, Happy, Foolish Hour?
I was actually thinking about this today. Like, something like Tech Bites. Something. I don't know, because it sounds kind of, like, with my recent midlife crisis, things have changed a little bit, and it's not so foolish anymore.
Well, one thing I know people like is consistency, especially
Yeah,
with
they do.
television shows.
I bet.
So that's one thing I'd like us to try to have, some kind of consistency.
I don't know if it's so much people or if it's you.
I mean, it's majority of the population. Like, you don't have TV shows that are just random all the time. You don't have podcasts that are just random all the time.
Well, we do, actually.
Name some that everybody would know here.
The Trailer Park Boys podcast and anything on SwearNet.
How many of y'all have watched either of those? None?
I have seen one Trailer Park Boys thing.
Trailer Park Boys.
And
The show or the podcast?
The podcast.
Oh, no, the show, not the podcast.
Yeah.
I saw one thing from SwearNet, and I saw it with Nick, so it almost doesn't count.
Whatever, but I don't know. And I pay. And I pay
it
monthly
still
for that.
counts.
I pay monthly for that content.
NetHunter said happy belated birthday in the live chat. Hey,
Oh,
NetHunter.
yes,
Glad
I'm
you
not
could join
in the
us this
live
Friday.
chat. I need to get in the live chat. And NetHunter, I got your text yesterday too. Well, I got it today, and my birthday wasn't. It was it yesterday? Yeah, my birthday was yesterday. No, I got your text today then. Yeah, my birthday was yesterday though. But thank you.
I mean,
and your ring should be here tomorrow, according to the tracking, unless this hurricane gets in the way, which I'm
Awesome.
so looking forward to.
Yeah, that will be cool.
NetHunter got me a ring. No one knows that. NetHunter, I blogged about a wedding band, that a Super Mario Brothers mystery box wedding band, and he bought one. He bought it for me. I am touched, and it's coming tomorrow. It's awesome.
NetHunter, I have one confirmed pawn from this morning with the Wi-Fi pineapple. Had his cell phone speaker way up and was looking confused when he had the Rick Roll and Rick Ashley song. All I heard, I turned around to hearing "Never Gonna Give You Up," and I was like, "Oh shit!" And looked over, and he was just looking around like, "What's going on?"
Nice.
And I had one other guy at the dinner table last night. We're like maybe 5 blocks away from the hotel, and one guy at the dinner table was like, "Wow, would you look at that? I'm connected to the hotel wireless here." I was like, "Yeah, no, you're not." He was like, "Oh, what?" So yeah,
Wow.
that's awesome. It works very well. Thank you very much. I have so many more plans for it too.
I bet, you hacker, you.
Yeah, like I was selling, at least Rachel, I don't know if I've told anyone else, but that was like the biggest thing that was holding me back is having the hardware to do some of the, like I used to have Backtrack and do all the Linux stuff and stay up with cracking Wi-Fi passwords and things like that because I wanted to know how long it would take to get into mine. I mean, penetration testing is the purpose I was doing it for, plus being able to go over to a friend's house and be like, "Hey, this can be broken extremely easily," and being able to show them. But having the hardware was always my downside. It's like none of the laptops and netbooks and things I got were the right hardware, wireless card and injection and all that stuff. So this gives me the exact hardware I need to be able to do it all. So yeah, I have Kali as well. And I really just need some time to get back into the scene, really, I guess. So I will be doing that. Oh yes, I will. And I don't know if I told you, NetHunter, but I went ahead and got the field kit so that I have a place to store it all, and got the more fun stuff, like this thing does software radio and can track airplanes. I saw the video on that. That looked pretty awesome. And the land turtle and rubber ducky, and the USB COS adapter. Like, I should be able to crack Android phones quickly here. All I need is just physical access to them. That's going to be awesome. It's just fun to show people how insecure their security really is in life.
Job perk, you'd say, right?
I just logged into the live chat, and we have the HCH Tech here. He's the guy I invited from TechNibble.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, he's in there. I don't know how long he can stay though. Like, I just looked at your message, guy, and I don't know how. He said he doesn't know how long he can stay. He's got dinner guests or something like that. But we did want to. I did want to, get some. I don't know. We need to figure out how. I want to talk to him actually.
Okay. Does he have a webcam? Are you there?
No
High
idea.
Tech? HC Tech? I'm going to call you High Tech. Sorry. Sounds better.
Hi C. Hi C.
Hi C. Hey C. Sounds kind of Japanese.
The Hawaiian punch. But yeah, actually, he's probably answering the door. Who knows? It may not work out.
Well, if you are there, I see.
Oh, he's working on it, he says. Oh, cool. He's working on it. We can give him a link then. This will be a good show because he has, I read that he has 1 or 2 copies of d7ii licenses or something and has not used it yet.
What?
And he's had it for a while now. Let me see. Let me read his post, actually. I'm just going to read a little bit of it. Little bits. Last minute edition, he said. Where did I quote that? Okay, well, he wants a quick start setup to be offered, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll go on to that. He says his process is very hands-on. He does a lot of manual spelunking through the registry and user folders. I like that word. And he likes the feedback the process gives him of manually searching through that junk. Says he uses the specific tools to apply to the job at hand. He never is comfortable running all the tools on every job just for the sake of automating things. He sees it as too time-consuming and inefficient and lacking sufficient feedback. We all agree. He wants to know what was added, deleted, changed, and why. His old-school manual process plus select tools, his old-school manual process plus select tools as needed gets him every time, and it's a process he's comfortable doing in front of his customer. Totally agreed. And I quoted that, and I replied, great, then you're in fact a D7-oriented technician. It's exactly how we work, and it's exactly what we originally built that for. It's not what it appears to be for so much these days.
Well, it's because people are so interested in automation. Like that, I saw what you meant in that post. It really has gotten lost that we don't really rely on the automation. We rely on the hands-on tools more.
If I could interject here, the beauty of d7ii, in my opinion, is the fact that you don't have to change your process. Okay, we're not asking you to learn a new process to do your repair. We're just, when applicable, we'd like to do it all within the d7.2 tool so that it's effectively logged, so you don't have to worry about your notes. And whenever we can, remove a click through some of the automation. Why not? If it's simply a click just to show them that you're clicking, I think you could probably spare the customer that interaction. But again, if you wanted to do it without the auto mode profiles, that's completely your option. If you want to get more involved in the automation, certainly you would probably benefit from a different discussion. But either way, we don't want you to adapt. We just want to make your experience better and hopefully work within your process to improve your productivity. So we're not asking anybody to make any sacrifices in that regard, to choose one or the other.
Hey, I don't know if he can do it or not, but Brantley,
I sent HC Tech or HCH Tech a link to the Hangout, so whenever you can join, just jump in. We'll
yeah, and if you can't, don't worry about it. We'll just talk about something until you.
Do you think that was accurate? How I set that out?
That was like what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. In fact, you brought up a point that I didn't. In fact, I've heard you say it 3 times before, at least a billion times before.
So whenever you can join, just jump in.
Yeah, and if you can't, don't worry about it. Oh yeah, please turn us off live.
Yeah,
welcome.
Here we are.
Live.
Do you think that was accurate? How I set that out?
That was like what you just said.
Yeah.
Pause your YouTube stream.
Yeah, we're getting feedback from 5 minutes ago.
In fact, I've heard you say it 3 times.
A few minutes ago.
Or at least a billion times before.
You'll hear us in real time, obviously, through the headset there.
Oh, yeah.
That is a little bit delayed timing.
It's more than a little bit.
You think that was accurate? How I It's kind of eerie.
No.
Myself
I
talk.
have a feeling. Oh no, does he?
Pause your YouTube.
All right, working on it.
Lost a tab. Mark?
I'm occasionally here.
Awesome. You're the HCH Tech guy, okay?
Indeed.
Awesome.
Indeed,
Awesome.
excellent.
Well, welcome, Mark. I'm glad to talk to you, actually. Very glad, because I know what you're saying in that thread. We all do. And they can, and Michael will be the one to really, really go off on it, but...
Yeah, did you catch what I was saying there a few minutes ago?
Yes.
Does that make sense to you? And so do you understand how that could, accomplish that?
It does,
right?
and it's 180 degrees, from what I took away originally from the discussions about D7 when it was being developed. In my head, I saw that it was 100% automation. And so I assumed right from the beginning that this was going to be an in-shop only tool, not something I would use in front of customers. I do both of those things, and so I have different processes when I'm in front of the customer than I do when I'm on the bench.
I can appreciate.
So I'm anxious to hear that, and I do have 2 copies sitting on the shelf. That's a hobby of mine, buying things and not quite finding the time to use them. So.
Well, listen, we don't want that. We want everyone to use our tools. In fact, the vast majority of our clients, I would say, use it on a daily basis whenever they're engaged in work and not otherwise on holiday. And not that we don't. You could use it as you see fit, obviously, but we do believe that it provides, you'll see its ongoing benefit, but you won't really have to change your process. So if there's tools, a set of tools that you were referring to maybe in your post there that you use, we hopefully already have those pre-configured for you, number 1, within D7.2. 2, you don't have to manually worry about keeping them updated, per se. You might have a toolbox and a keychain or, on a flash drive or whatever that you constantly may have to make sure you keep updated as software changes and advances. And we've, built that functionality in. I know that's relatively minor and there's other tools that can accomplish that. But again, the goal with D7.2 is to keep you within the tool and make it easy to do whatever it is you would do otherwise. And the only point of keeping you within the tool is for the logging functionality, and I believe that's critical. The one thing I hated to do was I'm telling the computer obviously to execute a lot of programs. Why can't it tell me what I did on a computer to resolve it, rather than me having to spend some time after the fact summarizing, what I did? I don't like to document, and I think you could probably appreciate the time saved with that. Plus, you can generate a lot of reporting within D7 which I think is just great to hand the customer. If you are right there, you can show them that, hey, I pulled a tremendous amount of information of your system in the short few minutes that I was here, and maybe there's upsell opportunities there for you because of all the information gathering, and that may be something that you do through another mechanism right now. But again, we've built all of this under one roof, kind of, with D7 and I want to help you realize how how it could benefit you without you changing what you've been doing for the past, I don't know how many years, but it sounds like you've been doing it for a little while, though, at least.
Yeah, 30
Nice.
years. It
Well,
30.
say no more.
Yeah, so you have me quite beat there, but I'm getting towards 20 years. But at any rate, let's go.
Michael,
through your
you're
process.
30. How many years old?
Anyway, we don't need to discuss ages.
What's your birthday, Michael?
I'd rather not share private personal information about my life in a public forum. We need to discuss how we can help him, and I think the best way to do that would be to have him tell us his current process, and then show him how we can implement that process with D7
Yeah. Well, and one thing I was thinking too, I had heard you say you don't like, or you didn't want to use it in front of customers. I mean, with the branding and everything, it kind of makes it look like your own tool, and I use it in front of, or I did when I worked on many computers, and still to this day when I work on family and friends' computers, use it in front of them.
In every case, it's made me look better than it did otherwise, actually, because the customization of it looks like you have something that maybe the average tech doesn't have. Now, of course, as we get more and more popular, that is going to change, but for the better at that point. But yeah, there's a lot of branding there, and the reports can all be branded. The visual, the iconography, the all of that can be controlled by you. So there's no concern, particularly with our domain name, that your customers may lose any sort of credibility by using our software. So that's always been a concern of ours, and we always want to make sure that people are aware of that. Most of our tools, our subscription tools, are all brandable.
All right, Michael, take a breath. Stop repeating. Let him talk.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think my big concern with that was that it wasn't going to be as efficient. When you charge by the minute to sit somewhere, you want to do things right the first time, and you want to be as efficient as you can. Not to be confused with not being thorough, of course. It's a different process, but all of those are individual. What to do next is an individual decision based on the problem that's at hand.
And there's no forced pathways within D7 So, for instance, at any point in time, the next step is never predetermined for you. We don't do it in that way. So let's say you have a series of steps that you.
Michael, wait.
All right, go ahead.
I think your original question was a good one pointed to him. And if you don't mind, I mean, remember we are in a public format and it may be recorded and shown later. But if you want to go over what normal steps you would take, let's say with a malware infected system, then we can kind of see how it applies and would be able to be done in D7 or go from there.
So just go over the process with us if you don't mind, because we're all techs here and we can all appreciate.
And I'll say go, but I just wanted to say first, Michael. He told me in the chat he had dinner guests coming, so make it, when you run your mouth, keep it brief.
There you go.
Yeah, I may be popping out here for a minute. We'll see how much is socially acceptable.
Whatever's fine, and we'll be here next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have time.
When I started, there were no tools. You had to do it manually, and things were different back then too. So we are, as you know, as times have changed, the things we see most commonly have changed along with them. So I'm not doing anything special. I'm not doing anything everybody else isn't doing. You know, I like to think I'm doing it more efficiently, and my years of experience give me some intuition on where to go next. I think, but I don't use any tool that no one else is using too that can read. So.
So, but again, more specifically, because I want to get down to specifics. More specifically, what would be your process? So, let's say you're coming up on a PC and it's a malware removal. You don't know specifically how, what a particular type of malware is, but what would your first approach be? Would it be information gathering? Would it be jump right into the registry? What would it be specifically?
Yeah, well, it's information gathering. So, see what's happening.
So
Sometimes we'll cut the internet at the very beginning to stop bad things from happening, so it doesn't get worse while we're working on it. Especially if you're on site, you need to isolate that pretty quickly.
And what sort of specifically the type of information that you would be running? What can you give me
part of my routine is kind of a running patter. So I do the play-by-play with the customer as I'm going through the process. I'm not one of those guys.
How about this?
What about over there? And I'll tell you when I'm done.
Let's say your last malware experience, if you can recall back to that, and I'm not saying this is going to be representative of any other malware experience, but let's say, can you just focus on that one specifically and tell me a general idea? What I'm getting at is I want to know if we have the tools already built into us, or if we can use our framework to add the tools that you use to d7ii. That's part of what I'm asking that for. Again, with the specific pieces of information I'm trying to gather, there's a tremendous amount of report generation, custom reporting, and information gathering tools within d7ii that can probably gather the same type of information you would probably generate manually, and that could just speed up the process of getting that data so that you can move on to step number 2.
Sure, I understand. So I think it starts with it's an interview. What happened? What are the symptoms as you recall them? Why am I here? Why did you call me? So the last one was searches not going where they searched. So the browser is infected in some fashion. So that one did start with looking specifically at the browser, bringing that up, looking for obvious things, looking at who the search provider was, going into a command box and looking at the results of ipconfig, doing an ARP command to see what connections the computer knew about. Looking specifically at the definition in the network card to see where it was finding its DNS, looking at the host file, those kind of things.
Okay, well that's very specific. That's the information I was hoping to get from you. Now, all of that information that you said, short of those few questions that you asked at the beginning, it sounds like this was a rather straightforward issue. In other words, you probably knew immediately when they said, my web searches aren't right, generally what the deal was. So at that point, I mean, we don't have a tool to have, pop up and ask the customer questions, or we don't have a script you should follow. You would handle that on your own and get that little bit of information. If you needed a little bit more technical information, like the smart status of their hard drive, their network shares, their product keys, their passwords, things like that, we can combine and get you that information very quickly with d7ii. But aside from that, everything else you mentioned can be done from within d7ii. Can probably be accomplished a little bit faster than what you could probably do if you had to jump out and even jump to the control panel and pick the particular applet or control panel item that you needed to use, for example. I would like to go over the whole process with you using d7ii. Let's see if I can maybe share a screen here. Okay. I don't know how well you can see this, but basically at this point,
there you go.
Sure. What was
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay, excellent, excellent. Just to give you an idea, like for instance, all your network stuff you can generally access, from here. Under the network menu, you get a tremendous amount of network information displayed here. Clicking on any one of these items typically takes you to an area where you could do various things that you would commonly perform, various functionality. I believe there's something for just about everything you mentioned in that list, as far as getting those things accomplished. If we also go under our repair tab, we have a lot of networking repair functionality in here.
Right, resetting the networking is a very common step somewhere in the line.
Yeah, and so you would simply go on this tab under the repair tab, and you would click on the items that you would, everything that you wanted to run and everything you wanted to do, basically. And there's going to be something in here for every case, and if there isn't, it's easily added to the list if there's something that we haven't thought of already. But it's basically, again, a one-stop shop. We want everything that you would normally do otherwise to be able to be done from within d7.2 and done a little bit more quickly. And in the event that you needed like 3 or 4 or 5 of these things done, you can either individually click on them as you see fit. If it's again, every situation is unique, and that would be how you handle that. But if you did start to see that you always needed to run, let's say, 3 or 4 things in succession, that's where d7.2 really starts to save and optimize time for you. Also, too, if you have to run scans and then you want to be notified when a scan is complete and then maybe automatically move on to another scan, a lot of that is possible with d7.2. We're not telling you what scanners to use to do those things. We just want to kind of speed that process up a little bit.
Well, launch up defunct, Michael, because when I think manual cleaning, that's kind of what I'm thinking is all these things hide in the file system or registry. I mean, that's basically where any virus or malware or any kind of thing getting on your computer, it has to be in one of those 2 locations.
Right, so if I'm waiting for a scan to finish, I will often use that time by going through the the app data directories under the user, looking in the registry for the startup items, things like that. If I haven't already cleared those, there you can use.
Do you use auto runs for that, or what do you use to inspect the registry?
Auto runs is one. Even the startup tab on CCleaner is a good one.
We have CCleaner integrated. We have auto runs integrated. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. But defunct, what you see here, is actually an internal tool to d7.2 that we've custom built, and it's just amazing. So, for instance.
Well, the magic of defunct is you have the ability to whitelist things that are known good and blacklist things that are known bad.
Yeah, so you'll only pop up things that are suspicious or different than the last time you worked with it. So basically,
those lists
it'll
are
learn.
Shared among, they are tied to your installation of D2, your copy of D2 or D7, so that whenever you run it, it gets that same white and black list. Yes.
Correct. Yes, correct, absolutely. But as you can see, we have some very common locations here, and it just shows you, basically these are to be directory listings and various other things. So all that kind of manual inspection that you're referring to, you could probably get done doing these various.
Hold it right there, Michael. Go back, do a reset scan there. The button under this. Yeah. So what we did there, and this is really how D7 started out and what Nick and I were doing, because back in the XP days, the most tools that we had were adware and spybot.
Yeah, but everybody used them.
Yeah. So those didn't catch everything, just like today, even if you run all of the things that are out there today, they won't catch everything all the time, because they only know about what they know about. But what we did here is, this is what Nick and I would normally do to clean out systems, is we would search through the file system, like you said, and search through the registry in various locations. And what we did here is you have the file system, which you have those various locations that you would normally want to check and verify that there's not anything bad. And then you have this highly customizable search filter screen so that you can filter out things. One of the favorite things in here is like if you have someone that got reinfected, just cleaned them up a week ago, you can check for only files that were new within the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then lots of other filters if you're looking for a specific extension or type of file, you can do those this way. And then we do the same thing for the registry, the locations in the registry that you would want to check through and check out. You have all those available and ready for you. And this is really kind of the tool that started off. I have a version of d7ii Alpha, which is basically this tool, extremely more limited, and this is what it's evolved into. And all the other stuff that's in D7 has been kind of just added on top of this to the point where this has just become another process that you can do in addition to it. But this is really your manual scan and removal, and pretty much most of the all of the locations in the file system are available for you to search through like that. And then the registration has the most common places.
Can I break you right there?
Go for it.
Let me share my screen. Let's see. I found a screen. Let me share it.
So, for instance,
whoa, killer. Okay, so they're talking about all this stuff and scanning, and they're showing you whoops, my bad. The smart scan, but where you can filter for things. That's just what you want to do. Basically, everything that you would, that's the registry. Everything you would set up in the file system, like these options here, they'll save. So, for example, if you always do look through program files for directories or whatever, however you want to do that, let's see, custom file search. You can go ahead and configure the search through the directory the way you want. So, for example, if you look through program files and you're looking for an obscure file extension or something, you can go through and just look at those, or just look at everything but executable, or whatever. But you're not going to want to do that really. But lots of examples there. So all of those options that you will check off, they do save, so that the next time you don't have to go do that.
Yeah, part of that is, you do a few thousand of these, and you know what's good and what isn't good.
Right.
Even if you can't put it down in a file string, look for this, look for that. You can recognize it just because you know.
Right. And I don't actually have the whitelists that Brantley does, but not the ones that he does anyway. But the whitelisting function, and like the entire point is the whitelisting functionality of this section of it is so that you can say, I know c:\windows\explorer.exe is okay. I don't know that explorer.exe is okay anywhere else. So you can whitelist explorer.exe in Windows, and it will stay whitelisted. So when you click on the Windows directory scan, you'll not see explorer.exe. You see, I actually did the scan, and because of my whitelist, I have no items in the list. And that's because...
And that's ideally what you would want.
Everything there, I looked at and I said, that's good, so I don't have to ever look at that again.
Can you populate the whitelist and blacklist individually while you're working on other systems? Obviously, you're not going to sit back and spend 2 days and think of everything.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Well, and actually, the best way that we have decided to do it is, and what Brantley's been working on is whitelists, where he's basically installed Windows and most every app that's included with d7ii, and he's went through and whitelisted the entire file system. I mean, just on like a fresh VM,
Sure.
So that gets everything right there, and he's done it for every OS. We actually have those whitelists online on the DMZ, which you can download. Anyone can at any level, but they're so massive. We're not distributing them yet. and that's something I'm working on, but beside the point. Anytime you see something within this list that appears, you can easily, click on it and whitelist it, or do any one of these options. Like, for example, see if I can actually find something that's not whitelisted.
Or conversely, blacklist it. That's the list that gets
Mhm.
built more often, I would think.
Yes, the blacklisting functionality is going to be here. It used to be here. It was in the original D7. It's not in D7.2 in this section. It's available, but it's not easy to add stuff to it, and I can get onto that later. But the whole point of the blacklists is almost moot because the malware doesn't tend to use static file names and things like that anymore.
Yeah.
The cool thing though is I also use hash scanning with malware definitions from Sane Security, which is the same. Some of those also go to Crypto Prevent, and those malware definitions are also checked against everything that this scans. So even if it is a good file name or whatever, if it matches the malware hash, it'll pop up red. And since I have everything like whitelisted, obviously on this system already, I've already been in the registry. I've been messing around. I don't have anything registry whitelisted, so I can show you this. Services, for example. Go through, and if you were to just whitelist everything because you look through this list and everything is good, except for, let's say you don't know something is good.
And the point is to identify the outliers, and when you're doing it manually, you just know because you know. You don't have a list, you just have a memory, and you can look down through the services list and say, aha, this one is odd. What is this?
Right. And see, now what I've done is I've just whitelisted everything that I know is cool, and now I know this is odd because I've never whitelisted it before. So if I just fire this up on a system with my whitelist present, I have this. And if I research it, there's some details that you can get if you need to like copy and paste, the path name or something for some reason. But I basically have these options here, like the system lookup, which will tell you what that is. There's a couple of other guys. You can just do a web search. Scan the parent. Oh, I love that one. That one doesn't work here though. And open path and regedit. That's my favorite. Yeah. But so that'll take you straight there in registry editor, so you can see what's going on, and then you can copy the registry path to the clipboard in case you need to, whatever. So so basically I work like this, and once that's done, like I said, we need to put the blacklist in there, but you have the options to delete that. It will also delete the file. It'll seek out the file and try to delete that. And there are a couple of other instances. Here we go. Something's not working right, but this isn't a release copy. The file inspection window that pops up when you click on something. Notice this is a registry. This is a registry key. I'm actually in the run once values.
Okay.
And that goes through, and if you're used to looking at this, and it's like auto runs, it goes through every single user profile. And actually, unlike auto runs, it does them all at once. So if you've got 3 user profiles on the system, all 3 of them will show up in this one list. And it'll go through all of the keys, H key local machine, and all the different user run keys, and just various other locations that auto start. So when you click on the item here, let's see, I got my, where'd it go? Here we are. I need to make it always on top. The file, the file inspection is first it does it. It will tell you what it is and where it is. It will scan it for malware hashes. Don't have it going right now, but it will do the virus, and actually it works in the release copy. It'll hit virus total and see what those results are. Check to see if it's signed, if it's a hidden file, et cetera, et cetera. The publisher, the company, in the file description, because you're going to want to know these things. Obviously, you're used to looking at stuff manually, right?
Yeah.
So you look at that data. Now, then we have our other quick things here, which you can open the file path and go directly there. You can whitelist, or just if you don't want to delete, you can rename it. Search the registry if you want to search the registry for that file name. Actually, I searched in the file system and the registry at the same time. I forgot I did that.
That's
two
cool.
different windows. But so it's just going to like search the entire registry and the file system for that. But we also have, oh gosh, I lost the window again. Always on top. You can Google the name only, the system lookup thing again, and of course we have delete. That's a good one. The blacklist and delete. The blacklist, like I said, that functionality is not in currently. And then we have the IFEO. That will prevent the executable from running, basically. It's an image file execution option. You'll see it in auto runs sometimes with certain malware, but I use it to fight malware. If the process is running and you can't prevent it from running, you can create an IFEO, and like if it continually restarts itself or whatever, you can create an IFEO, then kill the process. It can't start itself again. Or if you can't kill the process, you create the IFEO, you reboot the system. It can't run.
Yeah.
And then we have like a rename with dummy, and that's like a weird little thing that works still. I've been doing for years, and where I'll like an executable file, if I can't get rid of it, I'll rename it. Thing is, a lot of that malware would then recreate the file, you know, as if it were deleted or whatever.
Exactly.
So as soon as the file is renamed, a directory is created in its place of the same name. So that directory prevents a new file from being created because there's already a directory there of the same name. You can't create a file there.
That's a cool. I like that.
And it also works vice versa. So if it's a directory you're looking at, it will rename the directory and then create a file with the directory name. So, and that's actually the easiest way to keep like toolbars and stuff that install the program files and junk off of people's systems, because if you have a file named web search or something like that, or whatever the folder is going to be created as, you know, it can't create itself when it's being installed. Now, if they're smart enough to throw a random number on the end, that's fine, but most of them don't.
Yeah.
So this is like basically just a little window that I want to know everything I can know about that file, and it's very convenient not having to. Because I'm in. This is a registry entry, so I don't have to like seek out that file manually. And this is what we're talking about when we manually work on a system, but I say everything is aggregated into one interface.
See, so I'd like to throw out there, like I was a bench tech and on-site tech, and in the bench, I would normally go through and run the scans because we had a day or two that we could work with it.
Yep.
And time wasn't of the essence, and I could do 5 or 6 systems like that and keep up with them and know where I'm at in the process and keep it going. Whereas if I'm on site, I don't have the time to run the scan because people are paying me by the minute there. So when I'm in those situations, or even if I'm in just something that's quick and simple, I just launch d7ii, go straight into dfin, and clean it up quickly that way. And then I may run 1 or 2 scans depending on what I found in there. I can isolate it more on, well, I should probably run something else just to make sure I got everything deleted.
Exactly. You know, the tool of choice for that has changed over the years, but it's pretty much settled on Malwarebytes these days for that. So, you know,
Well,
it still does that job, and I'm not sure if it's removing things I didn't find that matter or not, but it's certainly removing things that I didn't take the time to follow the thread all the way to the end.
Exactly, and a lot of times too, you've gotten, like, especially in registry cases, you've basically made the files innate by removing their registry, so they
Exactly.
can't launch or do anything from there. But then, if somebody scans something after you leave and they get hits on it, they're like, "Oh, you didn't clean my system." It's like, well, no, I did. Those aren't going to be doing anything anymore, but you can go ahead and delete them. It's not a big deal either way, but people don't always like seeing that.
That's why a lot of and I actually was zoning out there, Brantley, but that's why a lot of the things that the systems that I would clean, I would run the only real scan I would run on it with AV would be the person's AV, whatever they purchased, because that's what they're going to see later on. And if you left something that is absolutely not, malicious anymore, on the system, it's just a fragment of something, that scanner will find it, and then they'll be like, "Oh no, you left it on the system," and no, not really, but go ahead and click clean, you're fine. you know, but and actually, I just made it work. The little virus total job, it'll show you the result 057 in the scan. If it does like more than 3 or 2 or something, it'll show up red. And clicking will take you directly to the virus total page when the internet works.
I know you said you had dinner guests, and I just like to throw out there when people have.
No, I'm okay. I just got a thumbs up from my wife. I'm good.
Oh, awesome.
Great. Well, and then the other thing, actually this tool, and we could go on here, but the other kind of neat thing is that you'll notice up here, you don't have to work just on the computer you're working on. If you have a hard drive attached to your system, like a TechBench computer,
Yeah.
and you pull a guy's hard drive out because whatever you're working on is too tough, or you just know it's going to be a hassle, so you want to scan it from another machine first, this is your go-to manual. Select your partition that the offline, what I call the offline Windows installation is on. And once you select that, it'll load all of the registry hives, and it will point its variables at that partition to do the scans on there. And then, of course, the other things that you can do with just the searches that you can do right from here is just some miscellaneous registry hijacks that don't really fit into a list or a category. Basically, anything on this little tab will be red if there's an issue, and in some cases there's a check where you can use the default value.
Yeah.
Real quick before you go too far there, Nick. I wanted to say kind of similar on the offline time, and a lot of the reasons why you would go to using a system offline to use a known good Windows to delete it is because those files aren't in use. They're not going to be hard to delete. And where I was going with that is this is also not always apparent in d7ii and our tools, but like when you click that delete button on the file menu on the right there, that doesn't just do like a delete key and pressing it on the keyboard if you're in File Explorer. That actually does a lot more in the background. And Nick, do you want to go into some of the specifics on all the stuff that delete does? I know it takes ownership.
Yeah. Anytime you hit a delete button in any function in D7, it does try to delete the file first. If it doesn't work, it will check for open file handles to it. If another process or something has a file handle on that and is preventing it, it'll do that. It'll unlock the file, removing the open file handles. It'll try deleting again. If that's, it'll take ownership and assign itself permissions to whatever user the D7 is running under. It's going to. What does it do? Oh, it will try the rename. Like if it does delete, if it does fail deletion, like after 3 or 4 attempts of after doing the permissions, the ownership, the file unlocks and stuff, it'll try to rename the file. create a dummy in its place, and it will also add the renamed bit, if it succeeds, to the pending file rename operation. So when you reboot, Windows should technically delete it before starting.
Yeah, that's a 5 or 10 or 15-minute dance when you're doing it manually.
Exactly, and that's kind of the thing that even us, we forget sometimes using d7ii, is that the trouble and hassle and time that ends up saving you, because we're basically all used to now clicking the delete, and it normally will almost always delete the file for us, whereas back before we had these tools, we would have to go through each one of those processes and figure out why it didn't, and try something else and try it again, and then try deleting it. So that's kind of the secret sauce under a lot of the functions here, is that a lot of the things that would take you that extra time manually, you click one button here and it's doing all of that for you innately. So
right, and that is often the fork in the road that changes it from a fix it in situ or doing an off computer scan where you're removing the drive and hooking it up to another machine. And if you're on site, that's the fork in the road that says I got to take it and I'll bring it back, because it's too whatever. You don't have that bench computer sitting there that you can mount it to.
And on top of that, actually, even to take it further, if you take a Windows PE CD with you, which Nick has a blog about how to create one really easily, this will run inside of Windows PE, so you basically can have an offline bench system right there ready for you anytime. And I've done that on site myself. Actually, that was how I started using PE a lot of the times, was I didn't want to take a system back when I knew all I had to do was delete this one file, and if I could get this hard drive out, I could do it. I discovered WinPE with BART PE, and was like, awesome, this fixes everything. I don't have to carry a laptop with me. I can just carry this CD, pop it in, delete the file, come back, and keep
Only thing it never fixed was waiting for that CD to load.
Yeah. But that's gotten a lot better with the Windows 8 based one, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Just in time for CDs to go away.
But you can run it on flash drives too. So.
Yeah.
So I did that search earlier. I did like a right click and oh no, I did one of these. I hit that button. I hit the search button there, and it did the file system and registry search for the file just everywhere it would find it, and sure enough, did find one thing or two. Is the sticky note, Windows sticky notes, but actually did find a second copy of it in the side by side. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's just like it's nice to be doing that while you continue to do other things.
File system super quickly while you can continue working in defunct while it's searching for that file everywhere in the registry and file system. Which that's something Nick and I would also do a lot, is we'd find a file, be like, what is this, and then would end up searching everywhere to see where else it would be on the system. So.
I bet this one will work. Like I also, this is dumb. The executable path you see under here is Program Files, Internet Explorer, iExplorer.exe. I can just the convenient options that we have in here. You can right-click and scan the parent directory. You just choose one. And I'll scan the whole Program Files directory for in whatever filter that you want. I mean, of all the things that you can do here, it's actually a little confusing and complicated. This mess here is kind of, actually, I haven't really even talked to Brantley about it. I want to make all of these separate scans, Brantley, just templates, basically, that you can choose, and it'll basically just be like one partition scan, and you can just configure to do everything with all the scans with one click. That's on the plate. But right now you do have to go and then click each thing that you want to do, but not everybody wants to look through each one. And I guess it just, like you said, it depends on the job you're doing.
Right, they're not all malware removals. Certainly a lot of them are, but everything doesn't start out that way.
Yeah.
I had one that just last week I thought it was, and here was a bad DNS from the ISP. They were having trouble with their DNS, and the ultimate solution was, of course, taking them off that and and getting them on another DNS, and voila, the problem went away.
Mm.
It's not common, but there it is.
And that's actually like what NetHunter had posted in the live chat about that new DNS Keeper ads software. It changes the DNS on the target system, and then they get redirected to malicious ads instead of.
Well, as long as we're
ads.
talking about changing DNS, I mean that is an option already in D7, configurable, of course. Where is that server?
Branding.
Branding, really?
OS configuration.
Ah, thank you. I don't even know. I don't even know, and it is confusing. And this is why it actually kind of sucks for people who don't. And there's no manual, not like current anyway. The gist here is that, for lack of a better place to put it, you can essentially configure a custom DNS. You can put in your own servers there. And then there are these predefined ones. You can even set a browser homepage, and essentially where that comes into play is I'll just add it, and this is how you can add quickly. By the way, when we add an app, I'm just going to look for all functions DNS search, and you apply static DNS settings. So let's put that right here. And now, anytime that this option is run, those DNS settings are applied to the computer.
I see.
Now, and that's just one of the billions of things you just mentioned. DNS Brantley, and I had to throw that in there. And actually, I didn't used to, and I had some people want that feature, and I used to be like, why are you doing that on the local machine? And then it like after a while, I realized that that's kind of necessary these days. I'm doing my own DNS servers on my own machines now. I'm not getting that from DHCP anymore. And there's a number of reasons to do that, but you can of course do as many as you want through your own DNS. But I've also been using this tool, DNS Bench. It's from Steve Gibson, grc.com.
The benchmark.
Yeah, DNS benchmark.
Which one has the fastest for your local? Yeah.
That's the ticket right there. And I've actually been using that and then configuring based on that. For your area, it might be one of those things that you could do, and then pre-configure that into D7, and then have that on everyone's system. There is that DNS thing with the routers now, also the malware. Anyway,
I'd like to throw out, you mentioned we don't have a manual for it, and it's up to date at least, and you're right on that fact. But if you do have the DMZ starter, which if you don't have that, let us know, and we'll go ahead and get your account set up with it, because that does come with every D7.2 subscription. But we have a 2-hour training manual that goes through and describes everything in detail that we're going over here, and a little bit more even. So.
Oh yeah.
I have to admit, I was a victim of early judging. I was presented with what looked to me like a very steep learning curve, and so I kind of put it on the shelf and figured I'd get to it, and here we are. It's a year later or whatever it is, and
let's fix that.
Inertia is a powerful force. I can keep going like I am, and I know what I'm doing without trying to learn something new. So.
Exactly, and that's our biggest problem. Is it's just not as intuitive. The original D7, and I mentioned in the thread, at the very least it had a workflow. It wasn't customizable as this, but because it wasn't customizable, it had a workflow. So a lot of the techs were able to just take it and run with it. They understood it. Now with all of the customization and so much of it not being done for you to start with, because so many people do things differently, it is kind of worthless for someone who doesn't have the time to sit down and play with it and learn it. But now, and when we're talking about the manual stuff, I will throw up here just my thing. I'm going to go over the system info page because when I first start D7, this is, of course, what you get. And I think Michael did a little bit here, but he didn't have it on his system. I just show you on mine. I have crash dumps, right, for example. I found mini dumps. D7 scans for a billion things when it starts, and mini dumps being one of them. So alerting you that they're here, you can. It tells you the last date, and you can just double click it. If it's not already downloaded, it's going to download Nearsoft's blue screen view.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it'll fire that up and point it at the crash dump. So at that crash dump folder, it works regardless of whether you're on the system or you're working on an offline system. It'll work that way too. Excuse me. So there's that. Then there's the past checks, which tell you what's good. I know immediately there's no AV software. I also know the hard drive space has less than 10% free, and less than 2 gig free. They're two separate alerts. But I also know to check the event log, and because there are some errors since the last boot. So if I double click that, we have our own internal event viewer. This is one of the things that I love when diagnosing any just random non-malware, just anything. And apparently you can see here I have a serious problem with the Windows search service. Well, that's actually not a problem with the Windows search service. I've been testing the new Kill 'Em All that I'm working on. That's part of the D7X framework I'm working with now, and the only thing it's doing is killing the Windows search service. So that's why you see that. But essentially, click on the thing and you get all of the detail here. You can copy paste. Of course, we have our Google the full event details, or Google the code and the source name only. We can rescan. You can filter all of these events. You can do the system log, the application log. You can look at all events, errors, warnings, or both. And then, of course, the thing that makes it the most useful to me is show since the last reboot only, that checkbox. Because I don't really care. Like when I first start working on the system, I may look at the whole event log. But especially as I'm working on the system, I really don't care what has happened previously. I want to know what's happened since the system last booted. So that gets all that other junk out of the way. And of course, you can launch the full event viewer. But the problem is there's so many of these features, but they're hidden and they're not in the same spot. It was sort of developed as like someone said, "Hey, why don't you add this?" And then I worked on it for a while, and then I added it, but it was a separate thing. It wasn't the same. It wasn't all in the same interface. I didn't really know how to do it too well either, because user interface, as you can tell, is not my strong suit.
That's another thing in the manual world. You look at the event logs, and you just know when something is worth further attention or not. Mm-hmm. So sort out everything but the errors and go down, scan through them. How long have you had this error? What, is it frequent? Is it a one-off? Is it something that's resolved? Is it something that's still outstanding? You just kind of know that by looking at the pattern of what you see there. Mm-hmm.
And in the same sense of that delete key saving you time, Nick, launch that event viewer one more time.
Oh, sure, yeah.
With luck, the indexing on this is faster than the built-in event viewer.
I mean, you saw just how quickly that just popped up now, and you can do the system and application log, and compared to launching the event viewer and then having to manually go, that's what I hate about the event viewers. Right. I have to manually go and set that filter each time.
Yeah.
I mean, this pops up almost instantaneously, comparatively, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's much, much nicer. And this is something, if I have to even go into the event log on my system, I don't even launch the regular event viewer anymore. I launch d7ii and then launch the internal one and browse it that way instead. So
see how bad my resizing code is? This is why you don't resize this is why the main window is not resizable. But that's because I spent time, when I was developing this, I spent time on features like showing only the events since the last reboot instead of resizing the window.
Functionality over
Form.
Form over, not form over, function over form, I guess you could say.
Yes.
But say I didn't want to.
I think that's actually a positive, because we don't, like so many other tools, they try to put a pretty face on everything. And I know it's a dirty job what we do, and I don't need the prettiness. I just need to have the information. I need it quickly accessible, and I need it at as few clicks or types as possible. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing I like about the System Info tab is it has a lot of those discovery things we were talking about earlier right there in front of your face as soon as you open up D7.2.
Yeah, like the Windows installation is 369.9 days old. I know it's a year now, but if it were...
But otherwise, that's a manual WMIC command, and you have to do it. And so even if you're fast, that's a 30-second, tangent.
Yeah, this all adds up. This all adds up, and you'll find, I think, after doing the process what your traditional way, and then maybe doing the same process with D7.2, I think undoubtedly you'll see a productivity improvement there. And I typically would say double, but I've seen it be far more than that, depending upon what you do and how much time you do spend at the command prompt typing in esoteric command lines, and how much time you do some of these other processes that are automated in here. But again, it's not really changing what you're doing at all. It's still allowing you to do the same things.
All right. When you say "but again," Michael, I'm just going to start cutting you off. So.
Okay, sorry.
Really quick, I want to just shout out to Zombie Worm, who just joined us in the live chat and probably on the show too. I also wanted to show him my shirt. I have a zombie prevention response team shirt, and this came from Mosey at Spice World, so just wanted to show that off because it kind of relates to your name. And on the back it's got powered by unicorn or magic or something. I can't read.
Yeah, powered by awesome.
Yeah, powered by awesome. There we go.
So I wanted to throw in, because I can't show them on the virtual machine, but I'll show them on my machine in front of the virtual machine, is just some more quick things that you see on the System Info tab and that you can actually do that people don't realize. For example, system ASUS, motherboard ASUS Tech Computer Sabertooth Z87. So I can click on that, and it immediately asks me, do I want to go to the ASUS support website? And it'll pop that up in another tab on another screen. And if you just right-click and paste, it will put in the model name. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work. It just put in all series for the model name, but more often than not, it does work. It should have put in Sabertooth Z87, but more often than not, it does work. Let's try NVIDIA. NVIDIA. NVIDIA doesn't let you search anymore.
And Nick, I like the ability to click on Dell service tags.
Oh, yeah. And the Dell service, it does do the Dell service tags also. Yeah. It does those like a champ.
Yeah.
Everything else is just a little a little weird, but let's see. Oh, I got system device issues on this one. Check hidden devices in Device Manager. So that instantly tells me that there are these devices in Device Manager that are hidden and unknown. That's what those are. Let's see. Problem. And they actually I can see by looking at all of these right now that they're printers, because the device ID says root/printer/0001 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so I know that I actually don't even need to open Device Manager at this point because they're just printer issues, missing printer drivers or whatever. And sure enough, that's where they are. They're all under printers. So a lot of neat little things there. But it's those one-click things, like, and I will show you. Let's see here. The virtual machine that I'm working in. If you're just browsing the file system, for example, and I better not. That has somebody's name on it. Say you see something that ooh, I don't have them loaded. do that. Of the config and the things that you can do when D7.2 starts on the startup, just to help you, so that you don't have to do this manually. Show file extensions, show hidden and super hidden files. You can have it disable user account control, but that has a few side effects, and I'll go into that later, some other day. But you can enable shutdown restart prevention, where it'll attempt to prevent any attempt to shut down and restart Windows by another program. You can have it stop specific processes and services. I'm just going to have it run kill them all from now on, but
and then unwind those when you're done.
Yes, and it will put all of that back when you're done. You can actually configure how it works when you're done. And D7.2 there's two ways to stop using it. The first way is to just reboot or to close it, and it's all of these all of these settings are still going to be in effect. So there's like the end session when you're done, and you just click this button, or if you go to close it, you will end the session. And that's just what you do when you're finished working on the computer for the last time, before it's ready to go home. And that will undo all of these customizations, and I just closed it by accident. Oops. There we download the update. But go back here. Replace Task Manager with Process Explorer. You can even have it store the last run time that D7.2 was on the system, which will show up on the system info page, like if you had repaired this previously. Disable
show
security.
the right-click menu too. Did you show them that?
Getting there. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's go right there. Right-clicking on a file. If you're in Explorer and you like to, do your thing manually, you're not using the defunct that we were showing you earlier. So you're in Explorer and you find this file and you don't know what it is. You can right-click on it, and these extensions are also installed if you have them checked off in the config there. And they'll give you a lot of action that you can do. So, for example, if I want to try to run this file with the command line parameter, I can do that, like /? Or whatever. You know what we're doing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to register it, it's a DLL. I can register it or unregister it. Unlock it. That will remove all the open file handles to it. You can quickly take ownership and permissions of it. That works on directories and all subfiles and folders too, of course. Rename with the dummy file or directory. That's the thing I talked about earlier. Delete. Here's where you can actually do the blacklisting functionality. It hadn't been. It's still in here. And then we have a secure delete, which will do some 9 passes of some junk, data overwriting and whatnot. And then we have the delete on reboot. Open a command prompt. That'll open a command prompt in that directory, which that's shift and whatnot. That'll work. But if it's a shortcut, you can find the shortcut target, copy the full path, open it in Notepad, even if if it's not a text file. Google it. Search the registry for that file name, find duplicate files in the file system, upload to VirusTotal. That's kind of worthless. And then this one thing here does, this one last third option actually has everything on one screen in one nice ugly interface right here, and where you can see the file attributes and all that good stuff. So that's the right-click menu. And that's installed every time you start D7.2 on a system, and it's removed every time you remove D7.2 from the system.
And that works even if when you've installed it, it's sitting there running a replacement version of Explorer?
No, it's actually just a thing. It's actually just some extensions that are installed in the registry that create these menus.
Interesting.
So.
Very, very, very handy and very time-saving. The command prompt here is
extremely. And you can
almost
do these
invaluable.
things otherwise, on your own. But again, it's just incredibly time-consuming to do, and you obviously aren't going to spend your time configuring the system you're repairing as you would your own system, but you want it to respond similarly. And D7.2 allows you to do that. Basically, enable those things while you're repairing it, and then once you're done with D7.2, there's no impact, no lasting impact. D7.2 truly is a portable application. It won't leave a footprint on the system if you don't want it to.
But you do have to use that in session button when you're done, because that will.
Well, you need to clean it up, yeah, basically, and that's but that's what you would normally do, and that's how we also capture the report information when you end the session, so you know what you've done for the repair process. So yeah.
The reporting is a little oops. The reporting is a little, it's ugly, and which people are happy to tell me, and that's okay. It's one of those things that I want to actually give people the just ability to use their own HTML template, and y'all can make it pretty. But in any case, everything that you do with D7.2 is also logged. So if I go over to my audit tab and I run, I don't know, Crystal Disk Info or something like that. Now, the next time I go to a report, it will say examine hard drive health with Crystal Disk Info, and the timestamp. Now, you can actually change that terminology. That's in the custom app configuration for that, so you can have that actually say whatever you want it to. Like I will go and I'll show you right here. Just right-click on that, and we'll go to Configure App. And then it'll pull up the app's configuration for it. It's actually on the last tab, and then here you have the work report language that I've got highlighted, and you can just make that say whatever you want it to. And then you would just do the Save Custom Settings button, and the next time you run that report, it actually won't change what's already been recorded, but the next time you do it, it will reflect that appropriately. So we have these information reports, and so everything that you do there is logged, but also every custom app that generates a log file. For example, let's go with Hitman Pro. Post execution. Don't have a log. What has a log?
A2 CMD scanner, I think.
Oh, yeah. Where's that? I don't even have that. Let me use that.
I think.
Here we go. Here's a log, Sophos, for example. So I know that Sophos creates a log, and that we've configured this custom application to basically copy this log file to the malware reports directory, and I have the move checkbox, so it'll actually move it and not leave it where it is. And that will put it in this section, in little malware reports. So whatever file that it creates and leaves behind, once that app is done running, it will be copied to this area, and you'll be able to view it here. So you can actually see what it did, if you're into that. I mean, if you run those apps. And then...
Is that local or online? So if you're at a customer's PC, you don't want that stuff left behind. You want it in your possession. Yeah?
Oh, yeah. So basically, I have another dialog open, so that's not working. Okay, here we go. You can manage the reports. You can send them to yourself. So basically, all of these reports are stored in a pre-configured location on the customer's hard drive that is created automatically by D7.2. All the reports are copied there, and if you want to email those to yourself or to the customer, you can do really quickly right here in copy to, and you can just delete the entire directory. And these are just the manual options that you can do while you're here.
I see.
The in-session options do this automatically for you. So if anytime you do the in-session by just clicking the X up here, or, oh, I did it again. Why do I keep doing that, Brantley? anytime you do the in session, anything that you have configured to do here will automatically happen. And one of all of this over here on the left side is for your reports. You can have it copied to a predefined FTP server if you have one. The application folder, which if you're running d7.2 from a flash drive, directly from the flash drive, it'll copy to the application folder on the flash drive. You can, of course, have it delete the local directory where all those reports are stored, and you can email them to yourself, which your email address will be pre-configured in here. You can zip it or just email them unzipped. So you don't have to deal with that. You can also have these templates, and the email functionality is actually used for, it was actually put in there for PC repair tracker and, no, it was not. No, that uses FTP. Repair Shop R uses the email functionality. So it's got these, like this email subject that's in here. It's like you would, like for Repair Shop R, it has to say like d7.2 reports or something.
Yeah.
And it'll email it to that, and it'll automatically recognize that and attach it to whatever ticket, if you use the ticket number here. And of course, you can have it upload your config. So if you make changes to d7.2's configuration, additions to its definition files through the defunct that we were showing you earlier, those can be uploaded to your personal FTP server or our server just to store your config, and under your d7.2 account. And I think that's it, really. The open a pre-configured URL. So, like, some people use that when working remotely, when they're done on the system, they hit the end session. It will open up whatever URL they have configured there, like to their website. Hey, we just fixed it. Give us a call if there's a problem. Because as antisocial tests, when we're done, we just kind of split. You know. We don't like to call them and let them know we're done. We just split, you know. So that's what that's there for. I mean,
we have a whole variety of texts that use our stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything was added for some reason, you know, for some voice. Most of them on TechNibble back in the day. Some voice had said, do this, and so we did. I also know here, and then the repair tab. The only other thing I can really tell you is throughout the repair tab is that most of this stuff I went through, and like reset networking, that doesn't tell you much. I could tell you it runs like 8 different net SH and IP reset and all these other commands.
It's the same stuff you do manually. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it chains all of those. Repairing the Windows firewall, and I actually. This stuff was on the website, and it's still there, but you have to search for it because it's not really in the navigation anymore, and it's a little dated, but the information is sort of there that tells you what it does. But, for example, repair the Windows firewall, that's a couple netsh commands, and I think it installs an INF file on XP and a couple other things, minor things. Release for new IP.
But it's very thorough. In other words, it doesn't half-ass any of these jobs. It does everything and more than what you would do manually.
Clear proxy settings. That actually works on all the major Chrome-based browsers, Firefox and Internet Explorer, of course. So that's just another thing that saves you a little time when doing one thing. You can reset all NICs to DHCP. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Some people, you know, it's your situation. Like you said, there's some things that you do, there's some things that you don't. Depends on the situation. And that's also why we have these different profiles. You can create your own auto mode profile that has the different boxes checked that for the different purposes. So you might want to save a profile for remote work, save a profile for bench work, save a profile for work on a specific customer that has a lot of workstations or something that you take care of that has a special configuration or something. Yeah. And then you can keep notes. We like notes. No one ever takes them, but we like
tons of stuff. Yeah. People do use that. I've talked to a couple that actually do take notes. some who are better than us at that time.
Yeah. I mean, but there's like you can really get lost in here. The RAM info thing, that's kind of awesome, and it really gives me away because it shows you just how much RAM I've got in my system. But kind of gives my gadgety my budget on my computer away, I guess. But I know right now, and it's not always accurate. But I know just by clicking internal at the top and the RAM info that I've got 4 8 meg DIMMs in there, 1600 megahertz, and I've got the part number. I can even Google that part number.
Okay, so
And oh look, there it is on Corsair.com.
8 gigs times 4 is 32 gigs.
It's a Vengeance Pro Series. Yeah, it was a kit. It was a kit. That's what I got in there. But and we also have Crucial Scanner, just in case that's not good enough. And Crucial Scanner, obviously, I think that's. Is that working? Nope.
They keep changing the access, just like
Yeah.
the Dell service codes. Since they went to the two-factor thing, none of my automated scanners will do that anymore.
Yeah, well, we're also in the process of revamping all the code for D7X and some of these little cosmetic and otherwise.
Well, that actually,
I
can't. That actually will work, and I would say that would be working. But my Edge browser, this is whatever, it doesn't work. It doesn't actually go anywhere. I don't know what the deal is. It's Windows 10. Anyway, see.
You break your Edge browser.
Yeah, no, I was just saying the Crucial Scan thing does work. My Edge, I don't know. Microsoft broke it.
Do it in your VM.
Oh, with the VM, it doesn't recognize RAM though.
It's Microsoft's fault.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The VM doesn't really have RAM. So, it doesn't have RAM chips in it anyway. This is just those quick convenience things that we have in here. And of course, you can add your own scripts. Have those saved to this directory if you open the scripts directory, and you copy like a batch file in here. Copy a batch file in there, and then the next time you start D7.2, it'll actually appear right here as a new menu item, and you can name it, whatever you want. And then of course we've got some shortcuts for other custom tools that you can put in this menu. Everything else is for the most part predefined, like folders. Go to Windows folder because I know I need to go there, and I even have it highlight System32 automatically because a lot of times you're going there. Folders. Let's see. Registry.
On the scripts, I assume you can do PowerShell and VBS too?
You know what? VBS, yes, and PowerShell, I think. And if not now, sure, no problem. Just
I don't have 100 or anything, but I have.
Yeah, that's just a line of code. I can do that. if it's not already done, I think it's done though. Then we have registry. You can actually add. Oh, Brantley, like you were going to go somewhere.
Yeah, I was just going to say those kind of questions and tips are the things that make this improve step by step. So continue.
Beautiful. Yep. Thank you. Registry. I actually have one predefined in here. Define your own registry shortcuts. So I have mine in here for the optical drive filters. If you know what that's.
Oh, that's handy.
Huh?
That's occasionally very handy.
Yeah.
You're going right there. That's the reason you're doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's for and that's actually for me for the upper and lower filters value when you have issues with the
exactly.
Back in the day.
I haven't seen one of those in a while, but yeah.
Yeah. And actually haven't either, but I haven't done a lot of teching in a while either. But you can add your own shortcut, and you can go to that area. Of course, you can do the same with the file system. Add and edit your own folders, like I have a shortcut to a network location here. lots of search options, and I even have search Foolish IT, Tech Nibble. Oh, I have that there, where you can just search a term, quickly. And then our reboot options, reboot to safe mode with networking, et cetera, et cetera. This is a reboot loop. I mean, there's so many things I could really talk about. We could be here for hours and hours.
Did you show off the info report? That one's pretty nice.
No,
and
I
then,
did not.
And then also the offline tab kind of builds on top of what we were talking about.
I always show that off. People respond to that usually, but we'll have to see. Everyone's different.
I tell you, it doesn't like checking activation on Windows 10, that's for sure. Info report, and I call my computer badass if that. You saw the RAM. So, oh gosh, what am I about to show y'all? So I know, like, from all the stuff gathered. So, start with the system stuff. So I have all this, I know I've got 4 max supported slots. And again, that's not always correct. And you probably know the reason for this is some boards have the capability of having more slots than they actually have on them. And that's what the chipset reports they have, but they don't physically have them.
Isn't always correct.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
It's the same reason Bellarc isn't always correct.
Exactly. It's the same exact reason, but we can at least do that. So I know there's page and file, partition space, NTFS. You don't really see FAT anymore. Quick Smart status, and these numbers don't mean anything to a lot of people. Myself, I don't even pay attention to them anymore so much, but I do use it for the firmware and the serial numbers and things like that, if necessary, model number.
Well, it's one piece of information. If you're going to run Crystal Disk, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see the smart answer.
It is. The difference between this and Crystal Disk, though, I would point out, is it has like a database or something it references or some algorithm it says to figure out if it's good or bad and just gives you like a light that says so. This one doesn't. It's not there. You kind of have to know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Software. Here's my. Well, we'll not talk about that product key. And it doesn't matter because it's Windows 10. But so I know I've got Windows Defender. It's enabled and it's up to date, just like it shows me on the System Restore screen. I've got my network information. Shared folders. Just in case you happen to know you're setting up a system, got to reload it, something like that, you might want to have that information handy. Map drives, printers configured, product keys, battery details, because I'm on a UPS, so it's pulling that information. Just because I'm on the UPS, it'll say like I'm on AC power. It also shows you on the system info.
And this is stored somehow in the reports when you do the thing at the end where you're emailing the reports to yourself?
Yes, yep. All this gets sent to you.
Yeah, that has some
everything
value.
in that reports tab will get sent to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's all kinds of neat little gadgets to build a custom work report that some people don't mess with. This is basically the same information that you're going to get in these pre-generated reports, except you can just add your own report, like the session alerts. There's nothing here really interesting. Generate a report, and now whatever items I put in there, it will put in there.
Hey, can I interrupt real quick?
Yes, please, man.
We got another special guest here. You can see taking over Jonnee's picture there. We have Dor from Podnuts.
I see Dor.
How you guys doing?
How's it going, Dor?
Doing pretty damn good. In fact, I'm already about 6 beers into this evening.
Oh man, I'm not even the first one down. We got a problem here.
I'm sorry, and I will say, I'm also sorry to say, Dick, we have unlimited breakfast meat at this conference as well.
Man, they actually brought out. I learned that apparently they did have meat at breakfast. We just didn't get up early enough for it.
Oh, that's it. I have that problem too. In fact, I gave a talk this morning at my conference at 9 o'clock, and I was still drunk.
Nice.
Mhm.
I think. Yep. Nice. Yep.
Got to do what you got to do.
You did well with the 2 hours there, for what I was awake for.
Thank you. And I was gotta say, Nick, as always, it is really good to hear your voice, man. You're being really successful. Please keep kicking ass.
Oh yeah, we're doing it. Taking names too.
Exactly.
All right, we do want to continue with what we were doing here.
Sorry.
I don't. I think I've piqued his interest.
Yeah. Well, we'll have plenty more shows like this next week too to let him play around with it and get into it and ask more questions.
Yeah, I've got to find. I just have to do it. I just have to pretend my other knowledge doesn't exist and run through this as the only
It's
tool.
not that you need
No.
to pretend it doesn't exist. You know it's there, and you repeat the process over and over again. And if you want to tell your customers that you wrote that script, yourself, because essentially it's behind the scenes. It's what it's what you're going to be doing anyway, and what you would do otherwise. This is coming from your head. We're just trying to make it a little bit more streamlined, and you don't have to. The best asset you have is your knowledge. We're just trying to have you just not waste so much time with the implementation of that knowledge, basically.
Yeah, and
Brandon
honestly,
wanted to show you the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't think any of us have an issue with you taking credit for having this tool to your clients.
I'm not selling geek cred. I'm selling the solution. So as long as it works when I leave, they're happy. They don't care how I did it.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I was going to add on top of that is if you're talking to other tech shops, probably drop our name for them. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Brantley wanted me to show you the offline tab. You want to talk on that, Brantley? Because I've been talking for a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. So the offline tab kind of takes where you saw Defunct has the offline ability where you can select the drive. This tab takes it a little bit further. So if you do boot into Windows PE or you do hook it up to a bench computer that you know is good and working, you can run your offline scans prior to working on it. And normally if I get to a system where it can't get on the internet at all, or it just has too many problems and even kill them all won't kill everything that's running in the background, or I just continually have issues with things popping up and bugging me, I always go to an offline mode. Like I said, I carried a Windows PE CD around with me to all my on-sites, and being able to run this saved me so much time in having to wait otherwise. You can see a few of the quick options there, like resetting the hidden volumes, the deleting all the temp files. That pre-malware scan is kind of from the older blacklist. It would remove all the blacklist items automatically for you. And then you have Defunct, which automatically goes into the offline mode, and just a whole bunch of other quick, easy things to kind of clean up the system, plus the few malware scan, virus scan things that you can do. You can't do all of your malware removal tools and virus things offline. Some of them don't have the ability to load offline registry and work with those kind of things. So you can't do everything offline, but you can do enough to get it to a system where you can actually work with it online again. So my biggest thing, and I actually just used this recently, is that offline edit registry, or the edit offline registry. That will load all of your hives from that system, that offline Windows system, into the registry editor, and then you can go through and clean things up. And it's for places where, like, Defunct has the locations that you would want to go to and check for malware, but there's a lot of stuff in the registry you might want to do otherwise, so that gives you full access to the registry to be able to clean something out quickly and restart the system and have everything back up and running. Even the replace registry with a backup, that's saved my systems once or twice before in the past as well. And another good one's that disable the auto reboot for blue screen, so you can actually see what's going on and it enables mini dumps, so you can actually have a record and check more into what was going on.
And as long as we're talking mini dumps and the thing I showed you on the system info tab before, where it launches Nearsoft's blue screen view, I said that works in an offline situation as well. So right here we have the newest mini dump. So the first thing it does when it selects the partition, it checks the suspected operating system, finds the Windows and the user profile directory, and if you click on either of these, it will actually open that directory in Explorer. And the newest mini dump, if there is one, it will, and you click on it, it will launch Nearsoft's blue screen view pointed at that file specifically. Not on the system it's running on, but at that file. So it will examine that file, and you have no more clicks to do that. And actually, people don't really know this, a lot of them, but the suspected OS where it says Windows Vista or 7, it can't actually tell you which one it is until you click it. And if you click it, it will actually load the registry, the offline registry, to figure out which it actually is. You know, it doesn't really know before that. And I can work on that a little bit, Brantley, by the way. I had some ideas for that. But.
Awesome. So the other thing that's really nice, too, is if you have a system you can't get into that you know you're going to have to format and reload, that get product keys and list installed apps can also be a huge lifesaver. So that you don't have to be like hearing back from them 2 weeks later. Oh, I had this installed. I don't know where it is, and I can't find it. And you're like, oh, well, we just have to go back and install it again. You can kind of know and get most of those things out of the way after a format and reload. And I've used that several times as well, where I couldn't even boot into the system by the time they brought it to me. So,
did you tell them about remote usage of d7ii and SFX? I'm sorry to interrupt, but
nope.
I think you should maybe quickly do that before 8 o'clock, or if that's when we're going to end it.
Yeah. So the other thing you can do is you can create this SFX mini, and probably before we even jump into that, we might want to talk about the storage portion. So if we click on the servers tab there, or servers menu, I guess, go into the dCloud. Go ahead and do the config defs.
I don't think I have that. Oh, I do.
You have to show your other window.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, because it's.
So we've been talking about these whitelists and being able to have them available, and if you have multiple texts, especially being able to share those amongst everyone. This is where you can do that. You have the option of either using our hosted dCloud or using your own FTP server to store everything. The biggest difference and advantage you're having your own FTP to do it with is being able to store reports and other custom apps to launch from there as well. dCloud, you're only going to be able to store your definitions and your configs. But that's still extremely helpful because now you have a set of definitions that can be shared amongst everyone you work with or any copy that you run. Then you also have your configs, which save all of those options and customizations and how you have everything set up in one location. Plus you can set it up for various scenarios. So like if you have an on-site setup that you like to run when you're on site that's quick, fast, and clean, and then a bench setup that you like to run that's a little bit longer and more thorough, you can have both of those ready and be able to run them anytime. And once you have those on either your dCloud or FTP server, we can go back to the SFX mini now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need to stop. Actually, let me go to the virtual machine. Go ahead.
That will actually give you a 300 kilobyte file. When you download all the third-party tools and have everything all set up, d7ii's folder can get around 1.5 to 2 gigs depending on all the tools and things that you have in there. So trying to transfer that remotely over to a computer you're working with through TeamViewer, Screen Connect, or VNC, whatever you use for remote options, takes forever, especially going through those remote transfer protocols. So what we've done here is created much faster way to get things set up and running with d7.2. Basically, you have your config stored, you have your definition stored, so D7 knows everything else that it needs to work with and download. As long as you have a remote connection, you know you have internet there. So what we can do is we can create a small 300 kilobyte file customized to your setup and settings. You can either have it so you can select your config when you start it up and be able to choose which version of D7.2 you want to work with. If you know a new feature came out that doesn't quite fit with what you were doing before and you're not ready to take that new feature on, you can choose an older version, and it will download all of your definitions, plus it will download everything else it needs. And the idea there is it's using that remote computer's internet connection, which straight bandwidth is going to be a lot faster than trying to go remotely through your bandwidth kind of thing. So extremely, extremely nice tool. I use it all the time myself, and it really helps in being able to get things set up and running quickly, because it only downloads what you use as you use it kind of thing. So extremely nice option, and much nicer to work with there. And that transfers over your remote connection super quickly, and then it downloads everything it needs as it goes along, so you're not waiting forever for that first setup to get started and working. You can go ahead and get started and working, and know things will just work as they go along. So
I'll just throw in there. I'm sorry, I was muted. I just wanted to throw in there that the size he was talking about, 300 kilobytes, it actually will depend on whatever logo that you want to appear as the splash screen while it's downloading all this junk on their system. So, and you can use a logo or like a file with like text on it, or whatever you want. You know.
I wouldn't recommend using a 4K GIF for your logo. So.
Well,
But the point is that any remote tool. So D7.2 obviously has a strong advantage in a local environment, where you have hands on the machine. But I know increasingly, obviously MSPs and a lot of times the shops themselves will use it in that manner. And a lot of people just ask us, hey, how do I get my, you want a consistent. We want D7.2 to be the same on every environment you run it on. So it's the same experience over and over again. You configure it once, and then you set it and forget it.
That's the intention, anyway. We're always tweaking things as text, though, but you know how it is.
So I think let's take the last bit to, I know we've overwhelmed you and talked our own ears off here, so you have any other kind of questions, other things for us, or suggestions, or like I said, that's what we love to hear.
The real questions are going to come after the attempted usage. You know how it goes.
And that's when that's when we can really show you what, without just being long-winded, we can really show you specifically what you're trying to do. When you know what you're trying to do, and we know it can do that, we can communicate and then tell you how it does that. And if it doesn't do that, then that's what he's getting at, and that's what I'm getting at, is I'm right now developing the new one. So I'm trying to fix all of the fact that you don't know what it's doing. I'm trying to fix that.
So I know you said it's been about a year since you got yours, so you might not have gotten a DMZ starter. Do you have that access, or did you request that already?
No, I didn't have a chance to check that out. I did download the update, but let me see, 3.6.84. So I think that's the newest one.
Could you email us your dCloud username, and we'll get you set up with the information to get on that DMZ starter. That way you kind of have those videos to check out too, and I think that'll get you in the downloads as well, so you have a kind of version that's already set up and configured with the way we would use it, and that will kind of make it a lot faster for you to get set up.
Where would you like that email?
Just do sales@foolishit.com.
There's also, isn't there a request DMZ access?
Yeah, it's just a lot easier just having them email it quickly. It's about the same thing.
Yeah, I'll dig that up. Yeah, it's in the history here somewhere.
I can go ahead and paste you a link to that form if you just want to use the form instead.
I feel like I've monopolized your whole session tonight.
This is what
This
we're
is
here for.
Yeah, this is exactly why we do this show. Otherwise, we would be talking about things we saw on YouTube. So we're happy that you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
We're able
So
to do this. So.
This is the way you can get in touch with us. One of many avenues of communication with us, and so we want to just whatever works easiest and best for you. And monopolizing the time, you don't know how many others have are in the very same scenario or situation out there and are actually sitting by and watching this. We want this.
So in that direct message for the live chat, I sent you that link if you just want to use the form instead of email. And we'll get you the access for that. And really the training videos will go through and kind of in depth and in a little bit more ordered fashion, go through everything that you can do and set up and configure. And that really gives you all the information you would need to get started up and running. Also in the DMZ section, you'll have an additional download section, and there's a fully customized d7ii that you can download. I would recommend starting off with that one. Then basically all you have to do is update your branding, and it has a list of the spots where you would want to do that. But if you watch the training video, it'll go through those spots as well and kind of give you a little bit more info on why you might want to change those and to what and what options you have there. That will really get you set up and running the fastest, and then you can focus on customizing to suit your needs the best.
Okay. Will do.
Awesome.
I was just
like
going to
I said,
say, I've mostly got the resizing code working for the new stuff, except for the logo bit down there.
it looks nice.
It works pretty good. And I even have it remember the window position, so... Haha. Remember the window size and position. I've been trying to spend a little more time on things like that than I did previously in previous, d7ii and whatnot. But
It looks good.
well, thank you. Good.
Yeah, after we've perfected everything else, we move on to some of the nicer things as well. But again, we focus on function and making your life easier, and again, incorporating. Just if you have any suggestions for us at all, we want these avenues to remain open with us. We don't want this to be the only time you interact with us, obviously. And the more you work with us, typically, the more you get out of our software and services, and you can truly, see what we've developed. Because so many people out there are using D7 right now, d7ii right now, and are not taking advantage of it. So we set out a little while back to get everyone kind of on our same page, and and to be a big team out there. So.
Cool.
Yeah. So also, I want to throw out there in the I've called Jonnee Rachel, and I just want to throw out a public apology for that. That was a horrible, horrible mistake, and I'll never do it again, Jonnee.
What? I didn't hear most of that, but you called her Rachel?
Yeah, apparently. I didn't even realize it, and getting all set up and having all these things going on at once. I must have.
He's got a point. I actually meant to finish my apologies from Tuesday today, and we're not going to do that either, so I'll do it next week.
Well, you have that to look forward to next week. Yeah.
I got back Tuesday and I had like a midlife crisis the last year or so, and then I had the moment of clarity this week after Spice World, and I started apologizing to people. I'm not done yet, but on Tuesday it was last show.
Okay, well, I know you had a dinner that we're holding you back from, so I don't want to take up your dinner guest time anymore. And like I said, we'll be here next week. We're going to start having 4 shows a day. So if you can make the time to be available, again, 4 shows a day. we haven't ironed out the schedule, so it may be 4 shows a day. But yeah, we got a lot going on in our heads at times. Obviously,
we don't know what we're doing, but I'm coding anyway while we're doing it. So
Awesome.
All right.
So excellent having you on here, Mark.
Yeah,
thank you again.
Thank you for coming.
I appreciate the time, and I'm definitely going to take some time to get this thing out of the barn and run it a little bit. So.
And then come back once you have a few questions and you start doing it, because that's when we can really hammer down what how you need to use it best.
Yeah. I will admit to prejudging you about the automation bit and just sort of already deciding at the beginning, well, that wasn't really what I thought it was, and have a nice day. So
listen, we don't want any apologies. We just want you to to see if we don't have the product that makes your life easier now. Just let us know what you want that product to be. Is basically what it boils down to, and we don't want you. We don't want you to take our word for it. We want you to see how it.
I will stop you right there, Mike, and I will say, please don't ask us for something that you click one thing and then you send the system home. Like I said in the thread, if you want something that an end user can use, then go get that. That's not what we're offering.
Yeah. That's why we're better than the folks that do that.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care now.
You too.
Later.
You too. Later.
Score!
Yeah. Awesome show. I think
so too.
Good work.
Score!
Goal.
Well,
3 minutes. Wrap it up.
This was his show. Today we want it to be your show next time, guys. So come back to us, and we'll see you on the flip.
Yeah. Flip.
Join us at foolishit.com/live. You can jump in the chat. We've had a nice big chat today. Net Hunter, thanks always for being there. Zombie Worm, shout out to you. MCM Tech, thanks for joining us on the show. And yeah, good times. We'll have a schedule going up on Google Plus and that live page, so check there. By Monday, we'll have something ironed out, and we'll be talking about it more.
Mario, I just saw your
Net
Hunter. I just saw your private message, and I'm sorry. And yes, the shirt does rock. I don't know about your D7 copy, but the shirt does rock. I bought it for $5 at well, it was between $5 and $10 at the Wings on the East Coast. Like I tell everyone, I get my work pants from that say Outer Banks on them is from Wings. Those are like $9.99. Usually they're buy one get one free too. They're the most comfortable clothes, man. Way better than that other stuff from like those expensive stores like Walmart.
Yeah. All right. Well, we had a lot of chat conversation as well. In there, we had some few things come up and talked about. So, anyone wants to go back and review that too, you can.
I'm going to need to because I missed it all.
Yeah.
I miss every once in a while. I look over and I see like you're carrying on 3 other conversations or something, and I'm like, oh man, that's interesting. But I'm talking about this thing here.
Yeah. No, I think your time was better focused. So
awesome.
That's why I was doing that stuff in the chat for them.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week, probably Tuesday-ish.
Yep. Definitely Tuesday. We'll definitely go with Tuesday because that's our regular one anyways.
Hey, what do we do? Like, what are we doing? 10, 11? What?
Well, that was one of the things I'd mentioned in the chat there. And one of the last things is keeping in mind the other people's time zones so that they can join in. And I was thinking maybe what if instead of trying to run the show long, have the show scheduled those 4 days at different times. So like
Yeah.
the Tuesday we'll do the morning, Wednesday we'll do mid-afternoon,
Yeah.
Thursday later afternoon.
I was
Friday.
thinking about that exact thing last week, but I was afraid to even say anything to you because every time I want to change one little thing, you're like, no.
But if you weren't doing it every day,
I'm just trying to. Once we get it, then we'll never change it.
yeah, I don't think we've gotten to that point ever yet. So
Yeah.
have we not got it?
Well,
I mean, and I'm fine changing things. I would just like to. Net Hunter, thanks for that.
You just got.
I would just think that. I mean, at least having it for a week by time, like not changing it as we go through the week, like saying something and then changing it, like advanced preparement for other people. That's my so. Anyway, I think we'll work out a schedule more this weekend, Monday, and then have it posted on the schedule for anyone watching. And yeah, I think that's it. We're at 8:01 now, so.
All right. See y'all next week.
All right. Laters.